Hello everyone, this is Sherry and this is Blue and you're watching Lessons Learned. Welcome back to the beginner pinwheel quilt for part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, go back and watch that video. I'll link it in the description. When I left you, we had all of our pinwheel blocks finished and laid out on the floor in the configuration that we wanted them to be in the quilt. So now what we need to do is figure out the sashing and the borders. I have decided to go ahead and make some borders for these inner lines here. And I want a 1-inch finished line in between of this fabric that you see laying under my paper here. Now each of these blocks, once they're sewn together, would be 12 inches, no matter if you had sashing or not. And like I said, you could go ahead and put them together side by side and not have sashing or border. You can just have a backing on it with 20 squares sewn together side by side. So each of our squares are 12 inside the finished quilt. They're 12.5 in this state right here. So all of our measurements we want to be to take into consideration that what they will be inside of the quilt. So if I want my sashing to only wind up being an inch, then I will cut 1.5 inch strips, and we're going to figure out that measurement later. But first we want to make sure of our basic measurements here. We have 12-inch squares, we have 20 of them, we have 4 going across, so that equals 48 inches. And then we have 5 going down, and that equals 60 inches. Now, if I'm adding in the 1-inch finished sashing, that's going to add 3 inches to our width. That would be 51. Going this way, we have 4. We have 3 here, but we have 4 here. So that's 4 inches. So let's add 4 inches, 64 inches long. All right, so I'm not doing a border because I'm going to use this same material as a binding right onto the blocks. So borders only is what I'm doing. If you're going to add a sashing, let's say you're going to do a 2-inch sashing, you would cut 2.5 inches wide, and then you would add 2 inches to each of these measurements to get your measurement for your backing and your batting as well. Okay, so when we put our quilt together, when we make our sandwich, we want more than 51 by 64 because we're going to quilt it and we want to allow for a little bit of movement. Hopefully not much, but we want to make sure we have more than just the exact of the batting and the backing. So let's add 3 inches on each side. So that's plus 6. Now we're at 57 wide for our backing by 70. Okay, 57 wide, 70 long. Okay, now I have a piece of 108-inch backing here, and I'm going to go with the fabric this way. So I don't need 108 inches, right? I only need 70 max. Okay, so I need to take 108 minus 70, 38. So I need to cut off 38 inches from the bottom of this. Okay, there's my, see how it's 60 inches. Well, no, it's 108 is 54 inches folded is what it is. I believe this is 1.5 yards. Let me check it real quick so that I don't tell you something incorrect. I have 60 inches. Okay. So I could actually, I only need 57. Yeah, that's going to work out just right. I'll have 3 inches left, correct? Yes. And I actually might be able to make my lengthwise strips out of this. If not, and I have to piece them, that's fine. But what we're going to do really is cut 12.5-inch strips, 12.5 by 1.5. The strips will be. So 12.5, or yeah, 12.5 by 1.5 strips from here to here. Okay, and then I'll have the rest of my bottom 38 inches to make my these here going across, because I only need 57 inches and I have 60. So I'll be able to cut those on this. I'll be able to cut those on the length of the piece of fabric that I bought, which was 60 inches. So I'm not going to have a whole lot left, which is good. You don't want to have a whole lot left of your project. A little bit's okay, but a ton just means that you spent too much money. So let me go ahead and start cutting. The first thing that I need to do is cut 38 inches single layer off the bottom of this. So let me go ahead and do that. So I stuck a pin there where my 38 is that I need to cut off the bottom. So I am going to fold this up another time so I can get my ruler across through there. And be sure and measure everything 2 and 3 times. I went back and I measured the other end of it to make sure I had my 70 inches that I need, and it was exactly right. So there we go. That's more of a manageable piece to cut. So I'm going to cut that right there. Okay, so this is my piece for my strips, and I hope I have enough. I'm pretty sure I do. And like I said, if not, I'll piece it together. It's not a big deal, but it should be enough. This was an end of a bolt, and you get a little bit of a discount if you get the end of the bolt, and it was cutting it close for what I needed to do the sashing and the backing, but it's going to turn out good. I'm sure I'll have a little bit left. Just going to fold my backing piece up here and put it to the side with my blocks, and I'll deal with that later. Also, I wanted to show you I have this thread that I'm going to use on it for the machine quilting. So now we need to do our sashing, and let's go back to our paper. If I can find it here. Okay, so we need, where's my pen? There it is. So we need to add a 1/2 inch. We want an inch. We want 1 inch borders. I mean sashing. Here, 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 here. However, I'm going to do 1 whole strip here. So that will be let's see, 48 is what those will be. So I need 1.5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I need 1.5 inch strips times 15, and they are to be 12.5 inches long. Okay, so I could cut several strips of 1.5 inches and then go back and cut them 12.5 each one for all of these. And then I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 48.5 inches. And I say half because no, I don't need the half. Okay, it's just going to be, once I get this done, it's going to be 41, 2, 3. So that'll be 51. So it won't be 48. It'll be 51 inches by 1.5. 1.5 inches of strips, 51, and I need 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Okay, so I need 15 12.5 inch ones, and I need 4 51 inch ones. Make sense? So let's make that a little neater. We need 1.5 inch strips to equal a 1 inch finished sashing. Okay, so we can just go through and cut some strips that are 1.5 inches this way on this fabric, and we'll have 15 that are 12.5 inches, and we'll have 4 that are 51 inches. Okay, so all our little up and down ones, 5, 5, 5 of those, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 of the long ones. Okay, so let's do, I could probably sit here and just start slashing this fabric up into 1.5 inch strips, but I hate to cut more than I need because I could, you know, still have a good chunk left for some other project, a scrap. So let's just do the 4 51 inch ones first, because this is going to be 60 right here. So let's do 4 of those from that. And I'm going to have to fold it up again just to be able to get it across the table with my ruler and my cutter. So I'm going to pull this over here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, we're going to do 1.5 inch strips. We need 4. You want to make sure this is going to be straight, because if you don't, you'll have to have a 51 inch curved piece. You don't want a curved piece. So I'm going to slice this straight again. And let's just hope that this isn't the last little bit that I need to make it work. So 1.5. These will be narrow borders, guys, but that's just all I wanted in it. I didn't want to take away from the pinwheels too much with big borders. Okay, let me see how long this is. I know it's 60, but it's 60. And I need 51 inches to go across there for those cross ones. So I have those ready. And then I need 15 12.5s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and some. So let's see if we can get across here 15 times. No, not 15 times, because this is 4. So let's see if we can get across here 4 into 15. We don't need that many. Let's just go at it. 4 doesn't go into 15. 3 does, right? We'll cut 3. Oh, we don't want 3.5 though. We want 1.5. Now remember, these are the ones that you're going to cut down into 12.5 inch strips. There's enough to do 4 of them right there. This is enough. With this one, this is enough to do 8 of them. 4 more. And this stack, that's enough to do 12 of them. And then we just need a little bit more here, but I'm going to go ahead and cut an entire strip. This is 16. We got an extra, okay? So now we can lay these on top of each other and just cut off the ends to where we have 12.5. Let me get a good feel for that. This is quite a large stack. I probably shouldn't try to do this all at one time, but you know how I am. I just like to just risk it. Got to make sure that all the edges are okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.5. This is risky, but I'm gonna do it. Right in the center, down, out, back to the front. Did it. Okay. Whew. I'm going to measure again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.5. There we go. All right. So here are our 461s. I mean 451s. They're actually 60, but we don't need to trim them right now. And then we have our exact 12.5. So the next step will be, look at the piece I have left over. Pretty decent piece. I could have made my sashing wider, I know, but I didn't want it very wide. That's up to you. You just get how much ever fabric you need to do the size that you want. If you want a 2-inch sashing, just cut you some 2.5-inch strips. You want 3, 3.5. You want 5, 5.5. However big you want to make it. I'm going to have to go back and look at my video to see how I had these arranged. I know they're in order pretty much, but I was goofing around with them the other day for Finish It Friday video, and I may have rearranged them a bit. So here's kind of what it's going to look like. Let's go ahead and do it like this. See? You see that? And then I'll just put another one over here so you can kind of get the full effect. I had the camera down pretty low so you could see that wonderful math I was doing. Like I was saying, you don't have to be a pattern designer to finish this stuff out. You just figure this stuff out. You just need to have some basic math skills. So there you go. And then let's see, what would a strip like this look like? I kind of like this isn't denim. It's just 100% cotton, quilting cotton. I don't even know if you can see that. Let me put one down here and see if you can see this one. See there? That's basically what it's going to look like. Let me pull the camera up for you so you can see it a little bit better. There you go. So that's just enough to kind of set off each of the squares without, you know, them getting lost in a bunch of dark navy blue jeansy material. And then this same material will be on the back. So kind of another cute little hippie style quilt. Will be really cute when it gets done. So the first step of sewing is doing these middle pieces. So all you have to do is, you know, run your seam, 1/4 inch seam down one side, open it up, press it open, and then run your other one this way, down this side 1/4 inch, and there you go. And I think I would press the seams for this inside. I think I would press them inside. That'll give the quilt a little structure, and you won't see any of this dark trying to shine through some of the lighter, like this one here. You know, you might actually see that dark shining through there a little bit on the edge. I don't know if you could see that, but just to avoid that. In the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter. Nobody pays attention to that stuff but other quilters. So if you're given something as a gift, chances are people aren't going to get down and scrutinize your work too much unless it's really bad. In which case you probably wouldn't give that one away. That one's for the doggy. Okay, so there we go. So sew these together. Once you get your row of 4 done, your top row, do your successive rows. Then take your long piece and put it down on the bottom. Don't put one on the top. Put it on the bottom, just like you did these. 1/4 inch, and then add the second row right here. Add the second row, and then do the third and the fourth. You will not have these on the outside unless you choose to do that. Myself, I'm just going to do what do you call it? Binding around mine. Okay. So that's the end of episode 2 of this series, and I'll be back with you for one final episode for finishing, which will include having the quilt top sandwiched, and we will do some quilting on it, trim it down, and also apply the binding. Okay, so I hope this is easy to understand. If you have any questions, you know, go back and watch the beginning with that math again if you're uncertain. Leave me a comment if you have questions, or send me an email at lessonslearned2021@gmail.com. Okay, see you on the next episode.